Well, Mark Baker, I am Clint August. You're on Motorcycle Monkey. Thank you for joining us today. We are discussing a saw, and by the way, some past Sturgis trip. What would we call it? Experiences.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
getting
gonna
caught
it's
in a
gonna eventually
monsoon.
lead into our tent discussion.
Yeah, well, and some other things too, because what we want to do in the coming weeks, we know that Sturgis is right around the corner, and we've been a couple of times. We want to recommend certain places that if you have not been, you must, and even a place that's about 300 something miles away from Sturgis. That I don't care what direction you're coming from, it is worth it. Would you not agree?
Yep, as long as it's not the waterfall.
The waterfall. Yeah, we got to talk about that, dude. We're going to talk about that of what Mark thought of a waterfall that was recommended, what I thought about it, and why we have a differing opinion. All right, but today it is all about a saw and your monsoon experience. We're starting with the saw here, right?
Yep, I guess it's pronounced Rex Betty. I pronounce it cuts like a son of a gun.
Yeah.
This is phenomenal.
Yeah, Rex is actually part of the company. His wife Betty owns the other half. That's how they came up with Rex Betty.
That sounds
And
good.
you can fact check me if you want, and you'll find out I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's true. He's
It's true,
wrong.
I'm wrong. All right, so the saw. So I bought the saw because of you. I want to reserve my comments about it because you've had it much longer than I have. Uh, Tell us about the saw and what you think of it.
All right. Well, first of all, for the price point, which Clint will cover, I bought this thing. I thought it would be a little cheap, maybe get me through a season. As we talked about before, I had a bunch of gear stolen a while back. So I bought this as a replacement. This has probably been, if I had to just pick one item that I was going to make sure I always had, uh, between a tent and this, because I can build me a new, tent, a new shelter with this. It is absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if you can see some of the wear and tear on this one.
Yeah, I can see a
Uh,
little bit of it. Yeah.
I this always goes with me on every trip. It's always in my little survival bag. That anytime I'm out in the boonies, I carry my backpack with me. But every hunting trip, a week or so out there all the time, I've built countless blinds with this. To give you protection from the wildlife seeing you. Some shade shelters with this. I've done a ton of cutting, of course, firewood for my BioLite. This one is, I just can't tell you how easy. It's not butter, but it's as close as you can get without any gasoline helping you cut through some wood. And Clint's got an example on a video of me just ripping through, without any good support, just ripping through some pallet wood.
I was shocked when I saw this. And by the way, this integrates again motorcycle riding, motorcycle camping, a bug out bag. It's something that's necessary. Again, like Mark said, he's taken it with him a lot of different places. You've owned this saw how long?
This one, I want to say it's about 5 years. This did not take the original Sturgis trip with me.
In
That one was
2015?
stolen. Yeah, that one was stolen for the 75th anniversary one, but this was a replacement. And it went to the last trip. This was in my gear. The last couple trips, it was in the truck in Montana. When anytime I have the BioLite stove, which just uses kind of trash debris or dead wood, so you're not really buying firewood or burning fossil fuels. This is a great way to rip the stuff to get it ready for cooking up a meal.
Yeah, and without looking at the specs, and I'll correct myself in the video here with some text if I'm wrong. I believe that's 11 inches before you open the blade. If I'm wrong, like I said, you'll see it in the text below. When you open the blade, obviously, you're going to double the size. But man, I saw you ripping through those pallets, and I was blown away. Now, the one thing I discovered with this, as you see in some video here, I'm going to put it up right now, me sawing just a fairly small branch on my lemon tree. And man, I got to tell you, for the size, I wouldn't even say for the size, for the cost, however, oh my God, what an amazing tool this is. I would expect from my experience with this, and then what I saw you do with yours with the pallet and all that, I would expect this saw to be, and I mean worth it, at 40 to 50 bucks. That's my opinion. You
That's what I was
agree?
going to say. Yep. If I found a great sale, 30 would be worth it all day. 50, I'd still buy it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I got this saw 3 days ago for $16 and change. I cannot believe it's got to be one of the best buys as you said earlier, that maybe we've ever come across.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Even if you're just, like I said, just pruning trees at home, it is so dang fast. It's mostly in the back pole, which you can see in the video, that does most of the cutting. But you can rip through a branch this big if it's dead wood and not a hard wood. You can go through it in 3 strokes.
All right. So we've got in the link below, or in the description below, we've got the link to that. You can buy that. Now we got to move on though to Sturgis, man. And the monsoon that you hit in 2015, I was on my way out in truck and trailer. My buddy Rudy and I were meeting you there with our bikes in the back of my toy hauler. Now we're coming from San Diego, California, 1,400 miles and change. And we drove, that was a story behind this one, dude. We drove, I think it was 34 hours with only stopping for gas, no sleep, and about 100 and I think it was 110 miles out of Sturgis. Middle of the night, we finally had to fold and pull over to Flying J's, mostly too because once at Buffalo Chip, that's where we stayed. That time we, at 10 o'clock, they actually close the gate anyway. You can't, even if you have a reservation, they won't let you in. Right. So we knew that. We stayed at a Flying J, slept for 4 hours and continued the trip. But we were so tired. I looked at my buddy Rudy on a dark mountain pass with a 26-foot toy hauler. I was the only one driving because I don't trust people when they drive to fall asleep from an experience I had years ago. That I can tell that story later, but I will tell you that was a traumatic experience years ago. But I looked at him. We'd passed up the exit 3 times, and these exits are like 10 to 15 miles apart if you're lucky. And we were so exhausted. I think I'd been up at this point for, let's see, I had been up for, I think 42 hours. Dang. Something like that. It was crazy, dude. Like stupid. I have a wife and 2 kids. So does he. And it was just nuts. I finally started honking my horn just to scare him and act like, oh no, what was that? Just to keep him up for a few minutes. He'd doze off again. Finally, I woke him up and says, dude, you got to stay awake. We got 30 something miles to a Flying J. There's nowhere to pull over on this mountain road. There's no shoulder, no nothing. It's pitch black and we're going to die. Literally, I looked at him. I said, we're going to die.
Yeah, you just needed some kind of stimulation and conversation.
Yes. And the reason that we were hard charging was you rode from La Grande, Oregon, which is about, 1,000 miles from Sturgis?
Yeah, I think it was just a little over 1,000.
And I knew you were there before us. This is where your story comes in while he and I are being idiots trying to drive for too many hours.
Well, I got to preface my side of the things. When Clint and I watched countless hours. This is our first Sturgis trip, right? That was your first 75th anniversary. Mm-hmm. We're finally going to break down and just go. So we're looking at videos. What do you bring? What's it like? What's Buffalo Chip? We're reading everything. Yeah, you read about a little bit of rain. And we're originally both from California. We know rain just means a few sprinkles and you're fine. Well, I thought I better prep the hell out of my little $35, $40 tent. So because I use it for hunting as well. And so I went and resprayed it again, just to waterproof a little bit better. It's a real cheap tent. No idea. I had no idea. I set up, everything was beautiful. About 2 hours later, like we saw even the last time in the daylight, you can see a wall coming. That wall is a storm and rain and squalls and full monsoon. And you can see in this video, it's pretty dark, but the water's running down in sheets, like half an inch thick, everywhere in this campground. It was like that. It was literally hitting the side of every tent as it's coming down. It's just amazing how much water dropped for, I think, most of the night.
Well, and that's why I'm leaving some of the volume on this video. When we put videos, usually in these podcasts, these vlogs, I'll take the volume out, but you can hear it. We'll be quiet for just a second, or you can actually hear how loud this is for just a second.
This is the first night at Sturgis. This is Monday night. So if you can see this freaking monsoon that just blew in.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy that you slept through that.
So loud. Well, on that part, I was awake under a cover. I was hanging out, met a couple really great Navy guys there. They saw I was flying solo. Like, come on over, grab a beer. So I made some new friends there. It was really great. A couple of them were at the concert next door, and then I was just sitting there going, "This is crazy. Is my bike gonna fall over?" And the winds were going nuts. We're holding down the sunshade, which is now a rain shade. But yeah, it was. I don't think I've ever been in more hard rain as long as this lasted than that night. It was just incredible.
I remember the following morning as Rudy and I were actually just getting close to Sturgis, to Buffalo Chip Campground. I remember you telling me you don't even know what I went through last night. And I thought he's being a baby. Then I saw the video. And I mean, dude, well, first of all, you said a $35 to $40 tent. And I know that you spray all of your tents, no matter what they are, whether they're $40, $50, $100, $200, you spray them so that they have the rain repellent on them. And you said to me, that's the key for these cheaper tents to be of value, right?
Yeah, and you just got to take your time with it. I literally hit every seam on its own, let it sit out in the sun, dry. Then I go back again, and I'll use a complete can. I don't care how many coats, and it has always paid off. It's always paid off. It doesn't matter how much hits the tub, and I flip it over and hit the bottom. No matter how much hits that tub, it's so far it's never come in. I've been really lucky, knock on wood. But the photo, I think you have the photo in there as well.
Yep.
If you guys look at that photo, there's no outer lights in this campground. That's just a lightning that happened to be. I snapped 4 or 5 pictures in a row, hoping to catch it. There was so much lightning, it wasn't hard.
Oh, that's without a flash?
That was just lightning lighting up that whole area.
Wow.
There was no light. You can see from the video there was very little light. But then as I flashed later, the lightning kicked in, and it was something. Prepare your tent.
Yeah, for sure. And here's the thing. I don't know. Do we know what the cost of that tent is right now? Because I know you've had that for quite a while. Have we looked it up for a while?
I bought another one because on a hunting trip, a branch fell and punctured the tent. And I'm too cheap to just throw it away. So I patched it, resealed it all. I'm still using the same tent.
Oh, the original?
Yeah, I'm still using that same one. It's been on, I think, since that trip, since 2015. So I've used that for 7 years now, every year. On motorcycle trips and my annual hunting getaway. And I want to say the replacement, which is in a box over here, was $50. I think it was 50, 59 maybe.
So would you say that it's worth the money?
Oh, in a heartbeat. As long as you buy that $7 can of Scotch Guard, in a heartbeat. They should just sell the two together, but they don't.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The Scotch Guard is the key, because I have that $20 tent that I talked about last week. Or I think it's $20 or $29. Either way, when I review that, I'll do the same thing. I'm going to put Scotch Guard on it, and I'm going to test the zippers and see. I won't have a monsoon to test it in, but what I will do is spray that in my backyard with the hose and then just see how it holds up when I review that. But so your tent, we've got the link down below as well in the description. You say was well worth the money. And here's another thing, dude. We want to talk about, like we said, the must-see places, the routes, the things that we just can't miss in Sturgis, along with that tent on the next podcast. Is that what we're thinking?
Yep. And just to clarify, I did have a little trouble finding that tent last time, and I looked again for this podcast. I couldn't find it. I will share the link with you, Clint, showing the same style. I mainly go after the tub and a certain type of cover. Just so you guys know, it's not a 4-season tent. But it does breathe really well. So you can use it in the heat of the summer. But it's, of course, I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't assume even a heavy 3-season. That just depends on your sleeping bag and et cetera. But, it's more of a 2-season tent. It's more for, I guess you could go to 3 if it's spring and fall, and it'll work for summer because it does have you can open up the top. And
consider that, the tent that Mark's talking about, the one I'm going to show you next week. I'll tell you whether you should consider that or not for the money for a Sturgis trip, because that's coming up in August. Now I'm gonna put up the video here in just a second to close out this vlog here, this podcast of Mark, so we can just let it close out with that. It's like 20, 30 seconds or something like that, 40 seconds a minute, whatever it is. So you can just see and hear without us talking. But that being said, Mark, is there anything else?
That's it for me. Check out that saw, you guys. If it's still available, grab one.
Absolutely. Hey, and the tent down below in the description. So we appreciate you watching. We're going to build this up. We're going to get better video quality as we go. We're working on some things right now, some 4K. Right now I'm using the laptop video. I think you are as well, right? Just the laptop camera.
Mine's streaming through another one, but I think our software might be limiting us because of the streaming.
Okay. So we're going to look into all of that. What platform is the best? We just wanted to get this rolling because we've been talking about it for months. And if you have ever served this country, past, present, men, women, every branch, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you. And God bless you and your families for your tremendous sacrifice. We'll see you on the next one.
This is the first night at Sturgis. This is Monday night. I don't know if you can see this freaking monsoon that just blew in. Everybody's over at the Godsmack concert right now, which are kind of where those lights are way, well, the dim lights way over there. We're just watching camp. I'm pretty sure some bikes are going to be blown over tonight. Pretty bad. Hopefully I'm waterproof.